Oh, there we
Hello?
go.
Hello?
Hey,
Hello?
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 hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yep.
can.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
All
Hi.
right.
Just introduce us. I'm Casey. With me here is Robert. You talked to
Hello.
already, and Sean.
Hi.
Me and we just I wanted to do kind of just an informal, casual sort of interview for it's a streaming event sort of thing we do at the end of the year, and it's a talk radio thing as well about music on the internet. And we have a lot of fans of your work, and a lot of people would be excited about your new album and everything going on. Sean, do you want to lead off with anything, or
I mean, there's the one thing on everyone's mind that we've always been trying to talk about, and it's just when is Fancy People Adventures coming back?
It hasn't left, but it's dormant. Yeah. I need to cancel my Twitter account, I think, and then I'll start drawing jokes instead of writing them in characters.
are you fed up with Twitter, or is it just
No, I just mean that's where that energy goes. It used to go
Yeah.
towards drawing comics,
Oh,
and
I
now
see.
it's much easier to like get the joke out in a tweet.
That seems about right. That feels about right from your Twitter. Your Twitter is funny, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks.
I mean, other than that, let's get into the obvious questions about Sauna. From what we've read in other things, the press release about, you said the album was about Vikings and Zen in real life. Like what does that exactly translate to? Are you willing to give us a better idea of what that means?
Sure. Those are like the touchstones, I guess, that I was thinking about. Those three things. Well, real life is not really a thing, but I was thinking a lot about Zen as usual, but also Vikings, like trying to write songs about Vikings in a non-corny way or in a non like whatever Nordic metal way. That's I'm not into that really. But
Yeah.
I have all these books of sagas and Norse tales. I don't know why I'm really into them, but I love reading these Norse sagas. So I was sort of trying to write songs about that and ask myself why I'm into it. Because these guys are assholes. They're like brutal and cruel, and they're bullies. So
They are.
what is it that is appealing to me?
There's a lot of interesting history there that we haven't uncovered, and a lot of myth making about what the Vikings were and what they did and who they were and all the other culture and things like that. So yeah, I agree. There's a lot of interesting stuff to dive into there.
Well, the best part about the Norse mythology is it translates to other cultures, not even in the Nordic regions. There's gods and everything that translate directly, sort of how the Greeks and the Romans had very similar gods.
Yeah, that's true. That stuff is interesting, like global human experience stuff, but none of that made it into any of my songs.
Oh.
I think mostly what I took from it was actually putting that's what I like reading Norse sagas, because I like thinking about what life was like in that world, in that time. Like, and it's still human experience. It's still what we do
Yeah.
now every day. And just thinking about what was it like when the sun goes down and the world is dark, and the sun comes up and that it's time to work again. And existence is, you're more close to death and to the ground and to your actual experience. So the way that when I say Vikings are on the album Sauna, they're totally not. It's more like I'm sitting there reading a book and I'm thinking what it would be like to be in an open boat in the North Sea, and that's it. Like just me thinking that thought.
That's a great thought to think about, because it is, like you said, it's a human experience, but it seems so far away and unreal compared to our time now. But they're
Yeah,
doing the
exactly.
exact same things we're doing, but in an entirely different context.
Totally.
And also for most of human history was closer to that than the past 200 years or whatever that we feel it's so far from. The people were just living on that by the restrictions of what the sun would allow,
right?
Things like that. It's only rather recently that we've broken free of some of those limitations, and haven't even entirely.
Right. It seems like to me, since it's been so recent, the world as we know it is so recent. Like we probably as animals haven't evolved to keep up with it. So I think our experience is kind of in this weird in between state where we haven't um, internalized the actual world that we live in. We're still these kind of brutal assholes um, that live with all these new tools.
Yeah, well, do you think in some ways that we're in the ways that we're more capable of shaping our environment that we used to be, that we can, well, I suppose it's sort of a given that we could, but what the threat is that we are shaping our environments in ways that humans can't really adapt to, or not all humans could adapt to, because we have the power to influence our environment very quickly, but people aren't actually capable of adapting to that nearly as quickly as we can change it.
Yeah, you mean
Sorry
like
if that's a
global
little
warming?
bit of a loaded question. or overly complicated.
Do you mean over global warming and that type of
Well,
thing?
you could apply to that, or I mean, you could even look at it as something like the internet is changes vastly the way that people interact socially, or the way that we use our time, or have expectations of what other people will do socially, and that's
Mhm.
something that was never a part of the human social experience until very recently.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that our 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 tools have gotten away from us. Totally. I mean, I honestly feel usually pretty pessimistic about the future of life on Earth, just because it seems like, yeah, the internet's crazy socially, but the environment is totally destroyed. Like we're just fucked. Wait, can I swear on this?
Yeah, you
This is
can.
just
Oh yeah, that's
Completely.
fine. Oh
Feel
yeah, it's
free.
fine. It's the internet. You can swear.
Get it all out of your
all
system.
No,
if you don't wish to.
right. I just was going on my way down a rabbit hole of ranting about the end of the world, so it's better. It's better
We've had
if
that
somebody
before,
cuts me
actually.
off.
We've had that before. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Much more bleak one as well.
I agree that it's, when you just look at the figures and everything and all the stuff laid out before us, it's like, wow, we needed to be already doing things a while ago, and we're still not doing them. So it looks really, really bleak in that sense. And it's not so much a question at this point of if it's going to happen. So it's how much is going to happen, or, to what level, to what extremes are we going to be doing this, and how are we going to have to deal with the destruction that we've caused.
Yep.
I have a question relating to that as well. Do you think that sense of doom is related into some of your other albums, or even Sauna, the upcoming one?
Maybe. I actually don't feel that doomy most of the time because I know I make music that's heavy and often using minor chords, but I don't actually feel super bleak. I know I come off that way maybe, but yeah, it's no, my records aren't intending to be pessimistic. And if anything, it's about the actual transcendent moments of kind of magic that human experience is capable of. That's what I'm going for.
Well, actually, you mentioned sort of more just the I don't know, the musicality of it. There's minor chords or what have you, but I don't think people necessarily get a pessimistic impression. But could you explain a little bit, if you can, without, I don't know, giving too much away that you might not want to, about how Sauna is going to, or what's similar, what's different in terms of your approach with instrumentation or with recording, as opposed to like the Clear Moon or Ocean Roar kind of material?
Yeah. Um Gosh. I guess it's still so fresh for me that I haven't figured out how to talk about it, or I don't have a zoomed out perspective yet. It does feel different and like something very special. I'm super proud of it, and I don't know. I feel like I don't imagine how I could top it ever, so I might just take a long
Well,
break.
Oh,
I mean,
sounds
that's how
like
I feel now, at least. I might change my mind in a week, but
So is that related to you said you were gonna end the Mount Eerie name for a while at least, or not continue with it after this album and go a different direction after a break?
I didn't say that, and I don't feel that way. Um, I'm not sure why what you heard that made you think that. I have
I
referred
read
to it.
something somewhere. I may have misread it. I have no clue, but I may have misread it.
Oh yeah, I remember. There was this tweet I made that was
Yeah.
misunderstood, and a lot of people thought that that is what I meant. But no, I just meant I was playing this show in North Dakota. It was the last show of a tour, and it was funny to me because the last show of this big tour and the last show I have scheduled for the foreseeable future was this very small coffee house in Minot, North Dakota. So it was like a kind of ridiculous final show, like going out with a whimper.
So we
But
can confirm that the Mount Eerie name is not ending.
yeah, because last time I changed my band name, I had to answer questions about it for over 10 years in every single interview. So I'm never changing my band name again.
Oh goodness, no. Why did you stop being the microphones?
Oh, yeah. All right. I was worried that we might make
do you
it through
remember the
this
glow
without
part
getting...
too? Do you remember the Glow part too? That was an album.
Yeah, it's true. It was. Yeah, I'm not bitter about it or anything. I just think that it's pretty funny that that question lasted so long. Like the microphones only existed for 5 years, and then the question about the name change lasted for over 10 years. That's
I guess that's a
fun.
good way of showing that how much it touched people, the microphones as a project and
As a
Mount Eerie
name.
yeah, as a name. It's a good name. I can't blame you for that.
That's true. Yeah, I like the name still. It's just it started to feel irrelevant. I mean, that's the answer to the question. It was no
Yeah.
longer about what I was writing songs about.
No, that's a completely valid thing to do.
See, then even though we were joking, we still got to it actually. I mean,
Yep.
look at
Oh
that.
yeah,
But the thing is, if you Googled any other interview I've ever had, then you would also get that answer. So
Jeez, yeah, I'm sure there was a million different references to pick for why is it that he's not the microphones anymore? This is the microphones guy. He should stay the microphones.
and also
Yep.
funny and kind of absurd to me also because it's just me. Like I don't have a band, so it's just this same exact thing with a different label on it.
It's pretty much what it is. It's what it's felt like this whole time. It feels like an evolving story of the microphone / Mount Eerie, and it just
Yeah.
keeps going to being the same thing overall. At least that's what I feel. Maybe some people feel there's a sudden change of difference between the Mount Eerie album and No Flashlight, but it feels about the same.
Yeah, it's a continuum.
And you have direct references to that as well with like Moon Sequel on Dawn and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's true.
So there you go, people. If you ever feel like Mount Eerie is not the microphones,
take it from me. It is. It's yeah.
Aside from just the actual direct sound of the album, as you could describe it, what would you say that you took a different sort of approach to any sort of like songwriting or recording or anything in wake of revisiting some older songs and things on your last album? Or was it just, I don't know, have you refined your process to the point where it feels the same at this point, from project to project?
No, it never feels the same. It's always, I think my focal point is experimentation, like always when I'm, doing anything really, but musically especially, I always want it to feel like I'm discovering something new. So I don't really have a steady songwriting process or recording process or even touring process. Try and make each tour feel like a new weird thing with a new collection of different people. But yeah, especially Sauna. I made myself experiment on do some pretty horrible experiments that didn't turn out but like led to other ideas. I threw away a lot of stuff and taped over a lot of tape. But yeah, I don't want to settle into a habit. I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
that
it's
just
kind
seems
of
boring.
that's the nature of experimentation too. A lot of it's gonna just sound like garbage, but
Yeah.
that's what gets you to something that's actually remarkable in the end.
Yeah, that's the idea.
well, you've released like B-side comps and stuff before, like EPs or other things like that. I mean, would it possibly be a future where you might add some more on there, maybe from the Sauna tapes?
No, it's not like I have extra songs. It's more like I was throwing away stuff that wasn't even releasable. Like I wasn't throwing
Mm.
away tracks, I was taping over. So these are things that actually became songs that are on the
So like the
album.
archetypes of things,
Right,
right?
exactly. Like the decorations on and the song structures and the song forms were morphing a lot over the course of months as I was recording and sort of trying to hack away and at all the stuff that I put on the tape. In the studio, we got a 24 track in the past couple years, which I've always recorded on an 8 track or a 16 track. So all of a sudden, having 24 tracks, it was a little bit baffling to me, being able to add that much more stuff and try like it's a new way of thinking actually, and it was so it's easy to
You're tripling your
add a lot
thoughts,
of
man.
yeah, totally. And well, and also it's dangerous because I add stuff that probably shouldn't be there and it's getting in the way of the
Mm.
idea.
Becomes over
So,
bloated.
yeah,
Just a
and
mess.
the idea is not coming through. So, finding ways of using that space effectively.
Do you find that your do you find that your work is really significantly reflective, since a lot of themes in your music are about well, as you described it, as sort of it's a fuck nature, nature's a lie, but like natural surroundings. Do you find that the location in which you're working on these projects, like being in Norway for a while versus now being back in the States, has really impacted the sort of sounder approach you take to these kind of projects?
Yeah, I well, no, actually. It's more I think the role of how wild places get into the songs might be in the lyrics, but that's about it. I don't I don't go out there very much, honestly, on like
Yeah,
a
'cause
hike in the woods or whatever.
there's I don't know. Yeah, I feel like there's sort of a stereotype, or like a typical narrative people will make about a lot of artists or albums, where it's like, oh, they went off into a log cabin by themselves for a while and truly
Hmm.
found themselves and wrote their sad breakup album or whatever.
Well,
Hmm.
that is an album I know,
So
but I don't know
I'm
about
just
Phil.
I was
But I
wondering
think
about
it's
that,
funny. There's
or
a nice
just
stereotype of Phil being this Henry David Thoreau kind of thing. It's he goes out into the woods, stares out at things for a while, and just suddenly thinks of an album and then writes it right then and there.
That's accurate.
Is it?
No, I'm joking. Of course not. Like, no, that doesn't seem like very much good art probably comes about that way. It seems like a popular myth about creativity, but I think good art
Go to
and
inspiration
music,
point.
yeah, it's I think steady work creates good art.
Yeah,
And yeah.
that's a good thing to cite in terms of what was the old days of music when everyone was coming out with an album once a year,
Hmm.
and they're writing songs while on tour, and it's they're just pulling things out and it's turning out okay. It seems like there's a large gap between albums, and that kind of goes into like what was your decision in making two albums in 1 year in 2012 with Clear Moon and Ocean Roar?
Oh, well, I mean, it could have been one album. That could have made that be a double LP and it would have fit. And I just didn't want to, conceptually, I didn't want to do another double LP because it's a lot to ask of someone's attention. So
Mhm.
I put it out as 2 records just to sort of make them more bite size or
Well,
whatever.
I feel like there was a good decision because, to be honest, they really were. They're different. They're different albums. They didn't feel like they could just meld together to me.
Yeah.
You couldn't just throw them together and have it be this cohesive sound and idea,
Hmm.
which is why I think Clear Moon and Ocean Roar work well as two different ideas. Like it's sort of like what I thought was you had an idea that you had one idea and you had another idea, and you had these fully fleshed out things for it, and you recorded it, and you recorded both of them. Then you released two different things.
That's
That's what I
true.
felt.
I mean, if I did make it as a double album, I probably would have made it presented it in that way of like this polarity or this yin yang or whatever. Because
Mhm.
when I was recording, that's how it was working. It was two different two different viewpoints on the same angle. One like through this clear, sharp view, and then one through this foggy, crashing waves view.
Yeah, and that reflects perfectly. I think it really sounds that way. There's another thing I wanted to ask was what inspired you to do the your release from last year? I'm blanking on its name completely right
Pre-Human
now.
Ideas.
Pre-Human Ideas, thank you.
Mhm.
What was your idea in just re-recording songs in a completely synthetic manner? And the cover art, you said there was a concept behind that as well on your website.
Yeah. Gosh, what was the concept behind that? A joke,
It was a
mostly.
joke, it seems. I think it seems like it was on the website something along the lines of, oh, instead of a scenery, includes a sad portrait of a man with a
Yeah.
snack.
Well,
Something along those
also,
lines.
I've just never put my face on a record cover because it's my project is not about me. You know, that's not. It's not like Phil Elverum sings or whatever,
Phil
which
Elverum
is
sings
kind of
it.
a standard way of making records for a lot of people.
Ooh.
But so it just seemed like a funny opposite thing to do. I don't know. I know that record is alienating to most people, but it's one of my favorite things I've ever made. Those recordings were originally made as demos to teach my bandmates how to play the songs on tour, just to like spell out the structures and print out sheet music in some cases for the keyboard players, because
Right.
GarageBand lets you do that.
Yeah, it does
Uh,
it does let you do that, doesn't it? I haven't used
so you
that for
just play
years.
it as in MIDI, and then you can print out sheet music. It was very handy, rather than trying to explain these weird chords to people. But
Right.
I I just got really into the robot voice and these funny, totally computer sounding uh, digital recordings of my songs.
I think it's a fun release. It does reflect that you had a lot of fun and you enjoyed it because it sounds very fun. It's just an interesting idea, I thought, and I thought the album art is interesting. Just you have your finger wrapped around some bacon bandage, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yes.
I think
Have
there's
a
people have been recently asking like, is that actually a piece of bacon on your finger? And I'm hopefully it's a bandage. Do you just wrap your bacon around some fingers? No, what am I
it's
saying?
yeah. No, that's a weird detail. It looks like an open wound, but yeah, it's just a Band-Aid that has bacon printed on it. It's just the only Band-Aids we had were these novelty Band-Aids. I had an actual, I think I burned my hand baking bread or something. But yeah, the I like auto-tune is the thing. Also, I like it. I think it's a cool sound and I'm not over it. I know it's
No,
like
it's taboo because of people overusing it when it didn't fit in places. I do think it's also an underutilized tool. There's people who've used it well
mhm.
and they've done good things with it, but overall it was a big thing in popular music and they were just shoving it down your throat and it kind of people got sick of it.
I still like it. Like when I hear the top 40 hip hop station or whatever, and it's on all these songs. I mean,
Yeah.
I always wish it was more extreme. I like when it's totally. There's this song by Chief Keef, this
Yeah.
rapper, uh, called "Go to Jail," which it's just him kind of freestyling with autotune
Oh yeah.
fully cranked, and he's not even saying words. He's just like letting his voice go up and down the scale, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that
Chief Keef
happens
has
on
really been taken to that a lot lately.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, well, it's just interesting because it originally came about sort of as a music industry way of, it's just pitch correction. We're gonna
Yeah.
Well, it
fix
was
this
Cher,
to make
wasn't
it
it?
sound more. I believe, yeah, Cher was the first one to do it.
Yeah. Do you
But
believe
Cher
in
was using it as an effect. Like before that, there were probably
Right.
people using it just to subtly correct the notes.
There was that's what Share was actually. That's what exactly what it was. It was Do You Believe in Life After Love, which was just like there was no robotic tone
People,
to it.
yeah,
It was just to correct her notes on the chorus. And
Mm-hmm.
then there
but
was like you had Eiffel 65 with the blue song. That was like the first case of auto-tune I can remember that was like the robot sounding voice.
but yeah, I just think it's really interesting in the way that it can. I don't know. It seemed to have been made for that purpose, but then it has now been so long lasting because people have repurposed it in more creative and interesting artistic ways, and just, yeah, like you said, going really extreme with it and just letting it be a tool in its
Yeah.
own way to achieve a particular sound and not try to like emulate a perfect normal singing style.
I think that all
It's
of
really
that is
fascinating.
exactly in line with the history of what punk music is. It's like reclaiming these tools that are made for a totally other purpose to normalize something and exaggerating them, like reclaiming the tools of production, basically, like Marxist
Reclaiming the
style.
rock and roll, reclaiming
Yeah.
it for our own use, for punk rock, man. That's how it
Yeah,
is.
but not only that, but like home recording technology, or using a photocopier to make your zine or whatever it is. Like it, I don't know. Maybe
The
it's too
punks shall
idealistic,
own the means of music production.
The
including
punks will own
auto-tune.
auto-tune. The punks will own auto-tune. In years' time, Phil Elverum predicts it right here on the radio.
It's already outdated. Actually, it's too late.
No, you gotta believe. You gotta believe, man. It'll come back. It'll have its artistic debut soon.
Okay.
Well, we mentioned a little bit about album covers. Do you there's been a lot of visual accompaniment, I guess you could say, to a lot of your work, photography or artwork, companion books and things like that. Do you have anything in mind like that for Sauna, or any kind of like physical component that might go with the album?
Yeah, there's a very beautiful record cover, gatefold thing, and then also this huge poster that I made that is in there. And yeah, that no book. I might not make another book for a little while because I have a lot of copies of Dust that I'm gonna try and sell.
All right, I'll be on that. How do
Yeah.
I forward you money directly right now?
Orders at pwelvermanson.com is my PayPal address. Go ahead and
There you
just
There's
drop
We
a
just-
donation.
we
Just
Obligatory
just give Phil money right now, everyone on the radio
No,
listening to
don't.
this.
I would feel bad if people actually just
Yeah.
gave money, but I have so much stuff for sale on my
Buy
website.
something. Hey,
Yeah.
no, I will say this, that all your physicals really do have this great quality. You make people want to buy a physical. You do give them a lot of something you know worth buying, spending $22 on. It's
That's
worth it.
nice. Thanks. That's my goal, at least.
No, I think it's a great goal to have. I feel that it's in this sudden revolution of what everyone's buying on a physical vinyl record. You know, everyone's buying this right now, and even cassettes are coming back right now, which it's a strange one to me.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel like as much as they're charging, record companies aren't offering enough for some of these things. You know, you have your Lana Del Rey, which will come with just the LP of Lana Del Rey. It
Mhm.
should come with something in the sleeve. You know, cheap pictures. Just get pictures even.
Mhm.
And that's, you know, I mean, how do you feel about that yourself? Do you think do you think that is a essential part to owning a record, when making a record, selling a record, is having something to come with it, something nice
Well, it's a
inside?
personal thing, of course. The way that we all consume music is super personal, and I don't think it's right or wrong anyone's way. Like, if some people don't want to have physical things and just want to have their MP3s or whatever, that's perfectly respectable, and I often feel that way myself. But I'm also like, I love a physical thing, and so yeah, personally, I like having lots of I like having a well-made object, and I like the record cover to be sturdy and pretty looking. And my house is already full, so if I'm going to be expected to keep something and not take it to the dump, it should be high quality. That's what I think.
I guess rolling off of that, in regards to people buying physical music versus MP3s or what have you, have you found, or well, since you've been involved in music for a pretty long time now, how have you found that your relationship to just working as an artist as a living, or making money off of your work, or how much you have to tour versus, you know, recorded material and things like that? How has that changed over time since back when things started for you?
Yeah, it's been a weird time. The span that I've been doing this is a very weird span, historically speaking. So much has changed. Like, I remember booking my first tours on the phone, like on a landline, going to K Records and sitting there at their phone in the office and just sitting down with like a ballpoint pen and paper and calling record stores around the country and being like, you never heard of me? Can I play there? But now, of course, like 1 million things have changed. So uh, I, I don't know. It's just every day. Every day I work all day, pretty much, on various things on this project. Not the business part of it necessarily, but just constantly taking care of details all the time. That's not really an answer that says much, but that's a thing that hasn't changed since I was a teenager. Just hustling.
That's a good philosophy to live by, actually.
Yeah.
Just keep going. See if it
Good-
if it
good
works out.
hustle.
You got to keep going still.
Well, if you want to, if you feel it, if you're not inspired to do it, I don't think. I
Well,
mean,
you shouldn't
should
force
probably
yourself
do
to
something
anything you don't
else.
want to do. No, you
But I
shouldn't.
think surprisingly, there's a lot of people doing music that are kind of weirdly forcing themselves into it because they think it's a fun thing to do or social, but they actually
It's-
aren't inspired.
Do you
Well,
see any issues with the music industry in a present sense that kind of upset you?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
have things become more difficult in the music industry in any way to?
Definitely. I mean, there is no music industry. First of all, it's or that's an exaggeration, but pretty much it's true. It's so crumbled, and I think the biggest problem is this erosion in people's minds of the idea that music has monetary value because of streaming services and Spotify and things like that, devaluing creativity, devaluing music just by insisting on this idea that you pay this very low subscription fee and then you should rightfully have access to all music ever. I just think that's super destructive and short-sighted. And I'm not the first person saying this. There's lots of people saying it in a more organized way, but I think that is like the biggest problem, bigger than any technological stuff or industrial stuff about labels. I think there are young people like high schoolers, middle schoolers. I see it all the time, that this idea that you should pay money to get music or attend a concert, that a show should cost money even. It's this foreign concept to them, and it's like that's the end of the world, or at least the end of creativity.
That's a strange thought.
Well, I think maybe in some ways the internet in general sort of shaped younger people growing up now to think that way, because we've kind of set this baseline standard. Even if there's a subscription fee for something, there's usually an ad-supported free version of that, which is the default. So people kind of just get this expectation is like, well, there's so many things you can get for free on the internet. Free is just the standard, but people don't maybe recognize that by submitting yourself to advertisers, that has a cost to society in some way, even if they don't feel it directly.
Well, and also it's short-sighted in the sense that maybe they have heard that those services don't pay artists fairly, but they don't. It's like, oh, well, it's not my problem. It's not illegal, so it's probably not that bad. When the truth is that it should be illegal. Like it's immoral. And that it's not illegal because it's really corrupt. And actually these huge companies have lobbies, and they're throwing a lot of money around in the interest of very few. It's so stupid and bad. So I put out these obsolete vinyl records and try and make them pretty. That's been my technique to counteract it, to sort of say, well, streaming exists, torrenting exists, YouTube exists, whatever. Those things I'm not going to be able to stop them. So for those who care about this other thing, I'm going to be over here making these fancy looking paper and petroleum products like
Well,
LPs.
I think there's always going to be a market for physical. Whether or not how big it is is consistent. It could grow. It could completely crumble underneath itself. But I think
For
the
a lot
physical
of-
market will exist.
Yeah, it will exist, but for most artists, for so many friends of mine, it doesn't exist at even subsistence levels. It doesn't exist
No.
as at like poverty levels. So that just means that creativity suffers and people have to work jobs to survive. Like super gifted creative people have to work shitty jobs to survive, and then they get done with their day of work and no song is going to come out of them.
Yeah. The cream
So
doesn't rise to the top sometimes, and it seems like that's part of the reason why.
yeah.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying too about with all the lobbying and label deals and things like that. With streaming services like Spotify, you get, I don't know, it seems like with the music industry crumbling, there has been a sort of the few artists at the top, and the biggest of the big ones are the ones who are able to negotiate some kind of good deal with those sort of streaming services, but everybody else below that is just kind of screwed out of anything actually equitable, or even it seems like there's not even a very clear sort of standard of how much people are supposed to get paid, and it's sort of like, well, this is what you get, and how do they compare it and figure it out, and everything like that seems very secretive and shady in a way.
I.e.
Yeah.
the U2 deal with iTunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Or Taylor Swift opting out of Spotify because she could, or because I don't know what her. I don't know that people can negotiate better rates with them. I think, if anything, it's the major labels and major distributors who are dealing directly with Spotify and other streaming places, and negotiating more money for themselves as labels. It's not being funneled back to the creators, of course. But I don't actually know the specifics. I just assume that it's very corrupt because it always has been.
Mhm.
That's how I feel it's always been. It's something where the labels will always try to keep more money for themselves and trying to fuck the artists over, essentially.
Yeah, that's been the successful model for the last 60 years or whatever.
I just wanted to quickly ask Phil, has he heard any music in 2014 that he would consider essential listening?
I don't do a great job of keeping up with what comes out.
well, if not from this year, then just anything that you had
Anything
been
in the
listening
last like
to.
3 or 4 years you've enjoyed from someone more recent?
Oh, I think this came out in 2014. This compilation that Light in the Attic Records put out of new age music called I Am the Center. You guys heard of that?
No, we have
Nope.
not.
Let's see.
It's
That's
this
what we were
great
looking for, to hear
compilation.
something we hadn't heard.
This is what we wanted to hear. Things we
yeah,
want to know.
if you're curious about new age music, and I didn't know that I was, but it turned out I was very curious about it. Yeah, it's an amazing compilation of home released, or what do they call it, private press, new age music from 1940 something and up to the present, and it's very beautifully made, very beautifully packaged.
All right.
All right.
Sounds interesting to me.
Oh,
That
also
is
Alice Coltrane,
Alice Coltrane.
her yoga music that she made later in life, Turiya Sings, it's called.
All right. I think
All
that's
right, cool.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
thanks
much.
so much for your time.
My
doing
pleasure.
This interview with us.
Thank you so much.
Hope
Sure,
you
yeah.
had fun.
I did. Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night.